Well, the Caldwell School District doesn't have any school resource officers in any of their schools. Budget cuts forced them to remove that resource last year. Their Band-Aid? Hiring an armed private security firm for less money. Not their long-term solution. Well, I should say now their long-term solution seems to be creating their own campus police department, something that would give them more control over things like costs and schedules. Aspen Shumpert has more on how that might work.
A first-of-its-kind idea for the state of Idaho.
Big difference between school district police and the city police, right, is ownership. You as the board and Dr. French will have complete control over them.
The Caldwell School District is now floating the idea of creating its own police department.
Other school districts in Florida and Texas have school district police departments.
The idea comes after the school district had 0 school resource officers present this school year. Officers that were contracted Caldwell police officers providing security in schools.
Unfortunately, our supplemental levy failed in the May 2024 election. Some of that funding was used for school safety for our SROs. So with the failure of that, we had to seek other options.
Jessica Watts, a spokesperson for the school district, says after cutting the 4 school resource officers, the district hired Eagle Eye Security to provide 3 armed security officers for the district.
Armed security right now, they aren't police officers, so they can't enforce the law. So with the potential of having a school district police department or SROs, they are able to enforce the law.
Having its own district officers could also provide more guaranteed presence.
The thing that's always concerned me about the SROs from Caldwell Police Department was looking back at how many times they were not present. And yet we were paying pretty large amounts contract, and they weren't on school property.
The school district last year secured a $265,000 state grant budgeted to pay for a school resource officer to return to Caldwell schools starting January of this year through 2027.
That requires approval from the district and the city, and that wasn't able to come to fruition this year.
Watts says she wasn't part of those conversations, but the delay was brought up in a February Caldwell City Council meeting.
We just want to make sure, obviously, that the kids are safe, and to do that, we have to make sure we're all on the same page. If there's people in there that are armed, carrying guns, and our police officers aren't really aware of who they may be, when they see a person with a gun and they don't know who they are, they're going to think that they are on the wrong side of the team. And so we just want to make sure that those individuals are safe, and then also that could put kids in the crossfire. And so we just want to make sure that that's very clean. We haven't been able to get to that point yet.
Councilmember Brad Doty also expressed concerns.
The head security guard there is hypercritical of this council and the decisions we make, which would then maybe, if my children went there, would cause me some huge concern. So in addition to what you've already said, I don't need to reiterate that, but we also can't have a head security guard that questions how this council is operating.
Watts says the idea for a school police department is still in its initial phase, so the future remains unknown.
If the board would like to move forward with this idea, we would obviously, seek all options.
With this idea, again, still being in very initial phases, details like cost to get this started, the size of the unit are unknown right now. Watts says all of that would be discovered if the board asked to pursue this further. We did reach out to the Caldwell mayor for further explanation on the delays with the SRO contract. He says, in part, quote, multiple factors contributed to this extended timeline, and that, quote, while differences in perspective are a natural part of governance, my focus as mayor is to ensure the best outcome for students. I do not allow personal feelings or disagreements among other agencies to determine the decisions I make. Now, the school district tells me that they should be getting 2 school resource officers from the Caldwell Police Department in place for school next year. Those contracts have not been approved yet, so still up in the air, but that is the plan.
So just 2 coming down from 4 or 5 that they had previously.
Yep, and 1 will be covered by this grant money that they got from the state that is going to be in for until 2027. The other is getting paid for with help from the levy that passed.
I know you mentioned there are a lot of questions unanswered, but there are so many questions with this.
I know.
Like how you would be able to make a police department in your school district You have to pay for post-training, all that
You
kind of
do?
stuff.
Yep.
Salaries would be comparable to a police department in the Treasure Valley.
Yeah.
You would think they would
That's
sustain them.
Maybe a positive that they get to kind of set what that looks like instead of experiencing extended and higher SRO costs going up each year.
Right. I think they were paying, what, $300,000 a year
Yep.
for those 4 previously.
Yep.
And the Caldwell Police Department, I think, makes about $79,000 a year for an
Yep.
officer starting on average. So we have to kind of weigh all that kind of stuff. All right.
Definitely.
A lot of steps before that actually happens.
Yes.
Thanks, Aspen.